Hey man, so you want to open a music store? That's good. That's real good. You just found one of the best YouTube channels. Anyways, howdy, it's Ryan from Arnie Music. What's up? I thought I would answer a question today. I get this question from time to time, either through Facebook or YouTube messages or whatever. And that question is, how do you start a music store? How do you open a music store? A couple of things you need to do if you want to open a music store. Okay? Number one, you need to have a vision and a goal, right? What kind of music store do you want to have? What do you want it to look like? What do you want to sell there? What kind of gear do you want to carry? How do you want to decorate it? You know, that kind of stuff. Like, what do you envision it looking like and being like, right? And you need to do some research, okay? Wherever you live, can it support a music store? I mean, if you live in a big city, or you live in a small town, or a medium-sized town or city, whatever, are there other music stores in town? Right? Are they very successful? You know, could the market hold another store? You know, can you bring something to the marketplace that's different? Do you have something to offer that these other stores aren't already doing? Right? Okay, so there's a lot of things you kind of need to think about some stuff and write some stuff down. Get a pen and paper and write these things down. Why are you opening one? What are you going to do different from what the other guys in town are doing? You know, if there's not one in your town, then that's pretty good, but you're probably in a really small town. And you might want to look further out, like 30 to 40 miles circle around your town. Are there other stores? Or like in your county that you live in your immediate radius, are there other stores? And what are they doing? Can you do something different? Can you do something better than what they do? You want to open a store, but you got to think about, why would people want to shop with you when there's so many choices today of, you can buy gear online at stupid prices, right? And it can be shipped anywhere. So why would someone want to do business with you and come to your store to begin with? All right. So first of all, you need to have kind of a vision, and you need to sit down and think about why you want to open one. How is it going to be different from what else is already out there? And what's the point of all of it? All right. Now, if you get through with all that and you just want the nitty gritty, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. Number one, you need some money. First of all, you got to have some money. You know, you don't necessarily need thousands and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. You can start with hundreds of dollars. But you got to get some money together. It's going to cost money because, you know, you've got to get set up in business. You got to get your tax paperwork set up with the government, banking things set up. You need to talk to an accountant or a bookkeeper and go figure out, are you going to be a limited liability corporation, an LLC? Are you going to be incorporated? Are you going to be a company? Or are you going to be a sole proprietor? The sole proprietor is, you're a one-man show. It's all you. It's a lot cheaper and less paperwork to be a sole proprietor. However, there's a lot more responsibility, and you also cannot have any employees. So you really are a one-man show. So that's you need to check that out. How are you going to set this up, right? Because you're going to have to set it up, and you're going to have to file some paperwork with your government. If you're in the States, if you're in America, of course, you just state sales tax, and you got to get a sales tax ID number, which is really easy to do. It's not a hassle, but you got to do it. So you got to have some money, because it's going to cost money. You've got to do your business paperwork stuff. You got to get set up to be able to take money and do your taxes. You're going to have money to rent a retail space, and you're going to have money to buy inventory. So you got to have money, number one. Now, if you don't have a lot of money, do not fear. It is possible to do without a lot of money. It's possible to get started without a lot of money. So you can get started. Number two, that kind of leads me into number two. You need a retail space. All right? It can't be your house. You can't open a music store really necessarily out of your garage or whatever. Not selling brand new instruments. You can sell used stuff all day long out of your home. but you can't sell brand new instruments out of your home. Most companies will not set you up as a dealer that way. So you need to have a retail space that probably needs to be zoned commercially. It just needs to be a retail space, not a house. That's going to take money because you're going to probably have to rent it if you don't already own a building of some kind that you can convert into retail space. Now, it doesn't have to be huge. If it's just you and you have a dream of doing this and you don't know how you're going to do it and you're just a one-man show and you don't have a lot of money, all right, you're going to start small. You're not going to open a big, huge, 10,000 square foot store. I started with about 400 square feet, a really tiny place. I had a lesson room and I had a showroom where the guitars were on the wall and amps and strings and picks and stuff. And that was it. Basically, I had a 2-room shop. And there was a bathroom, so I guess there's a closet, storage closet. So lesson room, showroom, bathroom, storage closet, 400 square feet. That's how I started. I started there. So you need to go scope out wherever you live, find a location, figure out how much it's going to cost, figure out what the rent is. If there's places to rent, just call around different places, see what different landlords are going to charge or management companies are going to charge. Go talk to other people who are leasing in the same spot, find out what their utility bills are, because utility bills can kill you. If you have a stupid high electric bill every month, that is cutting into your profits. So figure that stuff out. Location. That kind of goes with the whole, what town do you live in? Is there room for another store? You really don't want to set up a store right next to another store, particularly, if you can help it. That leads us into the third point. Next thing, once you save up some money, get a retail space of some kind somewhere. Can't be your house, usually. Think about the companies you want to carry the gear. Who do you want to sell? I mean, what brands do you want to sell? Guitars, amps, drums, keyboards, all that sort of stuff. Accessories are easy to get. If you get set up like I Love, Diodario, Planet Waves, Evans, ProMark, Diodario and Company. I love them. I almost exclusively carry their stuff for my accessories because they're a beautiful company to work with and they're very helpful and understand the needs of a small business owner. But there's other places you can get your accessories, and that stuff's pretty easy to get a hold of. Okay, you just call them, say, hey, I have a store. Here's the name of the store. You got to have your sales tax ID crap already taken care of, or they won't deal with you. So you got to have that done. You're going to give them your sales tax ID number. You're going to fill out some paperwork, and you're going to say, hey, I want to sell your stuff in my store. What do you need me to do? And they'll tell you. Accessories are easy. That's not the problem. Now, you got to think about what guitars, amps, drums, that kind of stuff you want to sell. Accessories are easy. Don't worry about that. Now, every company has its own criteria for you being a dealer, right? Now, all you have to do, go to their website. They'll usually have a contact phone number. I would call them. Personally, I like to call people and talk on the phone. Or you can email them, say, hey, my name is so-and-so. This is my, I own a store in this town, a music store, and I'm interested in carrying your line of guitars or amps or whatever. Please give me the, what are your requirements to become a dealer? And they will email you back, or of course if you call them on the phone, you can just talk to them and they'll tell you, oh, okay, great, I'm glad you're interested in carrying Schecter guitars, at your store. Well, our minimum requirement is blah, 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 whatever it is. Every company will have a different requirement. You're going to have to have an opening order. Your very first order of gear that you buy from companies, your opening order. And every company is different, okay? Everybody has different requirements. Like Gibson guitars, for example. Now, I don't carry Gibson, and they seem to change from year to year to year. But, there was a point several years ago where it was like $80,000. If you want to sell Gibson guitars in your store, you need $80,000. Your opening order, $80,000 worth of guitars. And then 40 to 50, 60, 70, 80,000 every year. That's a crap load of money. So to be a Gibson dealer, unless you're independently wealthy already, you might even just forget about that. Fender also usually has pretty high demands, right? But you know what? I think it's good. Go for other brands, Those are the obvious choices: Fender, Gibson, PRS, Taylor, Martin, Those are all fantastic brands who make beautiful instruments, and they are icons in the industry. And so they have a bit more, they could be more demanding in their requirements of you as a dealer. I prefer really to work with smaller companies. I'm a very small company, and smaller companies, but yet still have brand recognition. Like I carry Washburn guitars. I own 4 Washburns personally. I owned Washburns before I became a dealer. I like the product, I like the guitars, I like the company, so I knew I wanted to work with them. They're not maybe necessarily as huge as Gibson or Martin or whatever, but they do have a long track history. They've been around for a long time, you know, almost as long as Martin, and they do have brand recognition, right? Schecter guitars, same thing. I carry Schecters. I love Schecter. I love some of the artists. Jeff Loomis is amazing. But they have a great product. They make some wonderful guitars, and they are a well-known brand. You know, personally, I stay away from brands that your average musician who actually kind of knows what's going on has never heard of. You know, there are lots of brands out there that are more geared for beginners and students and stuff that mostly no one's ever heard of. Personally, I wanted to stay away from those. There is some money in those products. You know, I hate to say like no-name brands, but people do buy that stuff. So that's another thing you got to decide. You want to be that kind of a guy that you'll sell whatever you can, regardless of, you know, marketing and branding value, quality control, all that kind of stuff. Are you just straight about the money, or do you actually care about what you sell in your store? Every company's different, so you're going to have to contact each company you're interested in and find out what the requirements are, and they'll tell you, because they want dealers, you know. Now, first of all, if you're in a big city and there's another store like within a few miles of you and they carry Schecter guitars, you're not going to be able to sell Schecter guitars, or, you know, Fender guitars or whatever. You know, generally they don't like to set up competitors that are side by side. So that will also determine, like there used to be another guitar store in my town. They're not here anymore. And they sold PV. So therefore, I could not sell PV. I could not become a PV dealer because they already had, in my area, which is reasonably small, there was already a PV dealer. Now that they're gone, I could become a PV dealer. But anyways, so that's going to determine what brands you can carry and how much that's going to cost. You know, some brands want a dollar amount, you know, $10,000 opening order, $3,000 opening order, whatever. Some brands are going to want, you know, 12 pieces, like, so 12 guitars, or 24 guitars opening order, or 32 guitars opening order, you know. So you're going to have to check with each different brands. I encourage you to go with brands you believe in, that you actually maybe have a connection to, that you like their product, you think their product is good, and you believe in the product. That makes it easier to sell and also easier communication with the companies. So that takes money. Now, how much money depends on how many different lines you want to carry, you know, and what each of their requirements are. But just call and ask, email and ask, and they'll tell you. Now, you may not be able to start off with, like, if you have real limited funds, you may not start off carrying a bunch of stuff. You might just start with one line of guitars and one line of amps. You know what I mean? Maybe that's all you can afford to get started with. And maybe it's a guitar company that's maybe not super well known. You know, maybe it is one of those kind of no-name brands or less well-known brands. But if you like the guitars and you have the money to get started with that, get started.